So in this video, I want to share with you this project costing dashboard that I built. I saw this on my website, so if you're interested, check out the link in the description. So this dashboard here basically pulls in data from all of this other tab, which we'll be talking about later. But as you can see on this dashboard, you can select any of the project that you have input, and then it will tell you, it will show you visual data for that project. And here you can see the expected revenue for this project, the cash collected, the collection percentage, the uncollected amount of cash, and then the project status and all these other information about this project, including the net impact of change order and how many change orders there are. And you can see there's a cash flow analysis, a cost analysis, and in the project health here, basically it's using real-time comparison of cost, progress, and billing information to give you this information here. So you can see as you put project 1, you can see it says here it's a needs attention, whereas like number 2 says healthy, and then number 3 says over budget. Again, it's just comparing the cost, the progress percentage, and the billing information. Okay, and all of this is based on user inputs on the other tab, and it just bringing all this data together and displaying to you visually. So here you go. So this is how it works. And then let me go through all the other tabs. So basically, you purchase this item, you get 8 tabs. The first tab is pretty much tells you how to use this program. And then the client database is where you have a central location to log all your client information, to keep track of them. And then the project ledger is where you would come in and record your projects. So for example, here we record all the information in the white cell. Anything that is gray will automatically populate, okay? I know the gray area looks a little bit overwhelming, but all this will automatically be pulled in once you enter information in all the other tabs, including change order, actual cost, and revenue log as well, right? So let's do an example so you can see how it works. So let's say we have a project, we can record it. So let's say 4/1/2035, and then here you just create another project ID. So you have to make sure that the project number or ID must be unique. So we'll do project, and then I already have 25, so I'll make this 26. And then this one will just be kitchen remodel, all right? And then project manager will make it Jane Doe. And then client, will be from this client database here. So this will be part of the drop-down menu from the client database, so we'll do that. This will be interior work. And then we'll start at 4/5/2035, an example, and then the estimate completion date. Or you can click on this too and then select the date, okay? So we'll do 5/1/2035. And then you can select, any status, active, completed, cancel. We'll just do active. And then here, you can put in the budgeted revenue that you expect to get for this job. Let's say 55,000. Labor will be 6,500. Material will be 8,000. Equipment will be 1,000. Subcontractor will be another 5,000. Permits and fee, another 200. And then let's say other costs or overhead costs will be another 1,500, right? So we can see here the gray area automatically calculate this information. So you can see here the budgeted cost is 22,200. So let's add it up for you here. The gross profit is just the difference between the revenue that you expect to get versus the labor that you expect to, or the expenses related to this project that you expect to pay out. So the difference between the revenue and expense is 32,800, and your margin is about 59.64, which is pretty good. All right. And then this other area down here, it will automatically populate as you enter a change order or anything like that. All right. And you can close this as well if it's too overwhelming, right? And then all this data eventually would flow to the dashboard like I showed you earlier. Anyway, so see, after you enter in the project, if there's any change order, let's say the client want more of, they want to add more to the kitchen remodel, so we can just add in here. And then here we put a date, right? I just put a date here. And then here you can select the project 26. As you can see, as we select we enter in the date, it will automatically generate a unique change order. So for example, if I put 4/6, so you can see automatically generate a new change order. The reason why it does this is so you can see which change order number it is, so you can uniquely identify it. And then here you can just put adding to kitchen upgrades, right, or remodel. And then revenue adjustment because they want more, because the more to the kitchen remodel, of course, going to cost more. So let's say you're going to expect another 10K. If you want to adjust it up or down, like you want to adjust it up, right, you just put positive 10K. If the client want to reduce the project scope, then you can just enter negative 10,000. So basically, it will just reduce it, right? Or 10,000, just missing a zero. Okay, but in this case, let's say as an example, the client want to increase the project scope, so cost them another 10,000. Of course, you increase the project scope, you're going to increase the labor. So let's say labor will increase, material will also increase, equipment will also increase, subcontractor will also increase, and then permits will increase, and then overhead or other costs will also increase. So and then here you can pick approved, pending, rejected. So one thing to note is if you pick approve here, it will automatically pull this data to the projects over here. Okay, it only calculates or pull data once the information is approved. If you have it at pending or rejected or cancel, it will not pull that over because if it's not approved, that means the client or you are not going forward, so there's no point in pulling this data over. It's only pulling forward if it's approved. All right. So let me just reduce this by, let's say subcontractor, because I want to show you a positive amount for the gross profit impact. You want to make money on the project, not lose money, right? So your total cost change would be $9,000, right? And then you expect your revenue adjustment to be 9,000 or 10,000. So then your gross profit impact be $1,000. Let's say this approved by Jane. And then we come to the front here, and I want to show you on this line. It's for project 26, right? This line 35 here. As we can see in the change order, the revenue changed 10K, and then the cost change is 9,000. So then your revised revenue is 6,500, meaning it's just adding this 10,000 plus this 55,000. So you get 65,000, and then all these costs, right? Plus your original budgeted cost. So this is your revised cost and revised profit, revised margin, and then change in margin. So you get about 7.64 or 7.64% more after that change. Okay. So then if you're good with the change order, you can add as much change order as you need. So like say like another month goes by, or as a job keep progressing and the client needs to change more or add more to the project or reduce, you can just add another line, right? And just select project 26 and just add that in. Okay. Actual cost here is where you record all of your cost. I'm not going to show you an example to do that, but basically you just record all of your costs related to a project. So you can see for project number 1, an example, I recorded 10 project costs, right? And you can select the cost type and the description, you put quantity and rate, and this amount will flow to the projects over here, the actual revenue and cost here. So this one automatically flow over. And then after you do that, the actual cost, you record the actual cost, you can also record the revenue log, meaning how much you billed the client, how much you received, right? Again, this will only be pulling to the projects and showing the dashboard once you select paid, right? Once you get the money. And then the project progress, you can also record it here. So you can pick the project, put the date, pick the project, and then select what's the progress. Is it 5%, 10%, and just go in increments of 5, and then you can just select here different progress, and you can put notes here as you want. So again, how it works is basically you set up your project, right? You enter in your budget, revenue, and expense, and then you come here and you put in the change order if there's any change order, and then you record the actual cost, payment, actual payment going out, and then actual revenue received from the project or the job. And then you can also record the project progress, and all the information would flow to this gray area here, which you do not need to touch. It automatically populate, and all that data will also flow to this dashboard here, and will show you the data visually. So this is pretty much how the project costing and job costing dashboard work. So the purpose of this is for you to track your project, make sure that you're profitable, and if you're not, you can identify which area you can improve on, right? So if you're interested in this, you can check out the link in the description and you can purchase this on my website. I also offer customization and custom builds. So if you need this item customized to your workflow, reach out, let me know. And if you need something custom built from the ground up to track, project costing in a different way or retainage, reach out and we can definitely help with that. So thank you so much for watching.